Steve, so now we've got a quorum. And
Hi, Steve.
Now we get to
let's
start.
call the minutes, the meeting to order, because then we can discuss business and stuff, from that way, because we do now have a quorum, the three of us. Very big committee, we got three to make a quorum there. So call to order. There's no public input because we don't have any public on right now. And what I need is an approval of the minutes from the last meeting of May 13th.
I'll approve those.
Pardon me?
I'll approve them.
Steve, do you?
So I wasn't at the last meeting. Can I?
Oh, you weren't at the last meeting. I was at last meeting, so I will second it.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Suspension. So moved. We got it. And let's now move to the agenda. Rather, let's jump to the last item, which is the fleet study proposal, because that's the one under which the battery discussion can go on.
Okay.
So why don't you take it, Peter? And
okay. Well, I would start by saying, I guess, did you meet with Matt?
Yes, I did, and he's very interested. But since you have been appointed to the new fire district commission, there's a potential conflict of getting, doing the study and being on the commission. But he says there's probably a workaround for that. So, he's digging
either
into it.
way, it affects the fire department.
Yeah. So he's looking into that, and will be back in touch with me as to how he feels. But he thinks there's a workaround that so that it shouldn't.
And we can work. We can figure something out.
But he's very, very pro for
awesome
everything. Talk to him about the opportunity to put the charging station at the new solar at the track and field, and he's very positive of that. And he's also going to be looking into solar to see if he can resurrect when we tried several years ago to put solar on the parking lot behind the town hall.
Yep.
So the building company, the building department, which he doesn't control, said, "Oh no, we're going to build a big parking garage there," and everybody says that ain't going to happen. So he's going to see if he can get that moving. But he would like to put that with multiple charging stations at town hall downtown.
Okay.
So he's very interested in that. Anything we can do, and even putting a big solar farm out on the school park with charging, for school buses and this kind of a thing. So he's very pro about getting something going if we can do it. So that's where we are with it.
So as part of the fleet study, we were going to analyze the 110 or so town vehicles, set up a replacement plan, understand utilization, and with the idea of trending towards EVs, whether it be heavy duty, light duty, school buses, etc. And one of the things we discussed in the last meeting was infrastructure, and how to utilize our existing solar and future solar to charge some of these vehicles, many which will be based, at the Public Works garage right near the landfill. So Roger and I have been working together on a couple of other projects, and he's been, I guess, as a board member of Amply, which is an organization that helps small towns, big towns, and cities put the infrastructure together for EVs intelligently and reap the benefits, is the easiest way I could put it.
Well, that's the objective.
Right. And ultimately save the town a bunch of money without having all of the capital costs of infrastructure. Did I
Also
get
talked
that
to
right, Roger?
Also talked to Connecticut Green Bank, and they're gonna call me tomorrow, but they're
Okay.
very interested in this initiative that we got going too.
Awesome.
Does, may I ask a question before I get into technical? Does Connecticut, Peter, have the likes of the CEC or NYSERDA or anything like that? Which supports green deployment?
I think that's Green Bank that Bill just mentioned.
Green Bank's the funding vehicle. It's not a granting vehicle.
Bill, I don't know of any in Connecticut,
Any
but I
what now?
haven't grants for this
Yeah.
infrastructure.
No, not right now. We're trying to get, still working on with Amoresco, see if we can get a grant for the microgrid on the school park. What we have, Roger, at the school park, all the town schools, as
Right.
well as big new police station and all electric elderly housing is in this big park, which we can put a microgrid and, power that with solar, put as much solar, whatever we can on it, as well as other kinds of stuff. But, the police stations there with their vehicles, the school buses, I still believe that there's room for the school buses. I want to go physically look. I had some pushback when we were talking to one of the school board folks saying, well, we don't have any land, but we do have a lot of land there that it's not right now. It's covered with trees and bushes and stuff, but I mean, it's there.
Land is land. What is
Yeah.
your your local utility? Who is your provider?
Eversource.
So my guys will do the research on what's available. Okay. Peter, I think the best way to start is to educate everybody a little bit.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
If I get into an area that's you're knowledgeable on, just say, okay, keep going. That's fine. I'm very laid back, although I'm not. My background, just so you know, is I've been a corporate executive for almost 50 years, a consultant. I represent in the last 20 years, mostly green tech, clean tech. I'm one of the rare individuals in this sector that can talk aggressively on the vehicular side, the repowering side, the grid side, and the solar side, and the storage side, because I've CEO'd public and private companies in all of them. So that's why they call me at the press conference and they say, who the hell is he? They go, well, he's the godfather of electric buses in New York. I said, okay, we got a Jewish godfather now. I'll first tell you a little about Amply Power. We're located in Mountain View, California, private company. I've been advising them for over 2 years. Their claim to fame is electric charging infrastructure as a service. So Bills, let's suppose you had a fleet of 50 vehicles and you're gonna have to spend $2.2 million on charge infrastructure, engineering, design, management, etc. We come to you, assess the mission, how many miles, who's charging, what's charging, what hours are charging. We recommend the hardware, do the engineering design, permitting, work with your utility. We give you a turnkey plug and play solution, no CapEx out of your entity's pocket. You're going to basically pay by the mile in simple terms. We're agnostic as to brand. We don't care what kind of vehicle, who makes it. We don't care about the charger brand. It's just got to be the best price for the best deal for the best situation. So that's the broad-based foundational financial model. Now that I built that grid for you, that charge infrastructure, you want to make sure it charges right. It's not just a matter, Bill, of plugging it in and saying, okay, charge. Here are the things that can go wrong. You put the charger in, but it doesn't plug in right. There is a problem with one of the battery systems on the vehicle or anything in the world. Our system, first of all, assesses the state of the vehicle, its state of charge. It knows when it needs to leave because it's been told when it needs to leave, what other vehicles are in that line for charging, and how to avoid hitting peak loads. When in the summer in your home, it's a hot August day and you turn your air conditioning on and you see your electric meter spinning faster and faster and faster. Those are peak loads. You're paying double, triple, quadruple the price for electricity. When you do a 150 kilowatt pack on a bus, it's light speed. is the way the meters are going. So our system on our patented software is designed to manage the process, to balance all the charging amongst all the vehicles while to the best ability avoiding peak load charges, but guaranteeing you 99.9% that that vehicle will be at state of charge in the morning or at night when it has to leave. So that's the Amply model. That's about
Would it be possible to have a mechanism that we could select a period of time, like a 3-hour period on a hot summer day, to have the batteries being discharged into the grid and just have.
Yes, yes, and yes. I'll explain that. That concept's called V2G, vehicle to grid. So imagine the bus or the truck or whatever vehicle it is has a 150 kilowatt pack, fully charged, not going anywhere for the next 8 hours. And the utility has a demand for electricity. The system, if you're at a what's called level 3 charger. Now chargers come in level 1, very, very slow, level 2, overnight, and level 3, fast. Obviously, the higher the level, the more expensive, but the more features. But a level 3 charger, which takes AC from the grid, converts it to DC, charges the battery. So now we're sitting with all these batteries full of juice, right? And there's a demand. It goes back the other direction. It converts the DC to AC, goes back through the meter to the grid, and you get a credit for it.
Well, we get more than a credit up here. Let me explain my background. I'm with a company called C-Power. We're a curtailment services provider for the ISOs throughout the country. And we're very, very familiar with what you're talking about. We operate not on the retail side, because you're talking about the utilities demand charge on the retail side. We operate on the wholesale side. And on the wholesale side, in New England, you have this concept called cap tag. All the generation is paid for by capacity cost. And what that is, it is, how when the peak on the on the New England grid, the 1 hour of peak use for the year,
Correct.
You reduce your cap tag, that reduces your following year's kilowatt hour price. We can get as much as a 30% reduction in the kilowatt hour price if we can reduce the demand by discharging the batteries at that point in time. On top of that, with the what's called connected solutions, where the Eversources of the world are chasing the cap tag to reduce their costs, they will pay for a battery if it's 100% charged off of the solar. There's it's a $200 a kW payment for the summer average. So they may have to call for 4 or 5 times during the summer to project, because you never know when the peak's actually going to hit. So, it may be 4 or 5 times, but the average, if the average 50 megawatts, reduction in your capacity demand at that point in time by exporting back to the grid, you get for that summer, you get 200 times 50, which is a nice chunk of change.
Hey, Bill?
Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth. Guess who our partner is on V2G, who is at our ribbon cutting today? They can guess what company.
C-Power?
Yeah, they're our partners.
Yeah, okay. So you're familiar with LS Power then?
Of course I am. I want to let you do your thing.
Okay, great.
Passion, but we are strong proponents of V2G. Our critical partner in the Northeast is C-Power, coincidentally. They were at the press. They were at the press conference today. I can't tell you who. I forgot the name. And they were mentioned in our opening comments as our critical V2G partner.
Excellent.
So I'm not going to have to teach you too much about that. But just understand, ladies and gentlemen, having that feature is incredibly altruistic for the grid, for the power. It could be profitable, but it's also 3 to 4 times the price of the infrastructure to be able to do it. So you really have to do a relatively careful assessment. If we're going to deploy 100 charges in your township, I would say 10, maybe 15% would have V2G capabilities. And those charges would be linked to those vehicles that have the highest storage capacity.
Right, the bigger vehicles.
You wouldn't do it on a light van, a class 1, 2, 3, or 4. You do it on a 5, 6, 7, or 8. And those classes, by the way, have to do with gross vehicle weight.
Yep.
So now you got, and Bill to a higher degree, of course, they understand the Ampli model. I was so happy to hear that because he made my job easy. Let's go to the vehicle side for a minute. Emerging rapidly today are new deployers of electric vehicles. In the bus side, school bus side, Bluebird, Eli, and la. On the truck side, BYD, Volvo, et cetera, and a lot of people in between. One of the companies I've been advising to for 20 years, who's come of their age now, is the concept of repower. So let's, for the purpose of this conversation, take a Class C school bus. A C is the one that used to go to school and the wheels on the bus go round and round with a little nose on the front.
We have a couple of dozen of them.
Yeah. Take one of those buses. They average in cost for a diesel or a CNG between 100 and 130. They last 8, 10, 12 years, et cetera, et cetera. As it gets to the first edge of its life, maybe 7, 8, 9 years, engines start to go, et cetera. In Brooklyn, at the ribbon cutting for Logan today, we took an International, I think it was 2011, could be 12, clearly at the end of its life, stripped it of its components that made it an internal combustion, gas tank, transmission, engine, et cetera, cleaned it up. It's now 100% electric. And just to give you some metrics, and this is, as a council who spend budgetary money, this is where it all comes down to. A new C electric is between $375,000 and $425,000. A new C diesel is about $110,000, $120,000. A repowered C, which is basically written down to zero, is about $175,000. And you have not only the same, but even better power and other coefficiency curves on it. It just, the systems of the company we work with work better than the OEM models. They're actually doing it by repowering UPS trucks in New York City, the brown trucks. And when you can service a UPS, it's like, in New York, if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere. If you can service UPS, which is the highest standards in the industry, that became the template. So if we look at your fleet of school buses, we could say, well, okay, 12 of them are relatively new, let's not touch them. The other ones are going to phase out. So you go to the oldest first, repower and come up. But you're doing it at about a third the cost of a new electric vehicle. Your carbon footprint is incredible because not only are you killing a diesel, but you're not manufacturing a new C with new steel and new plastic. So all that carbon loss is retained and you're giving it a second life. And that also becomes the ideal vehicle for the VTG bill because obviously school buses don't work in the summer, which is when peak loads happen. They don't work at night when air conditioning is needed, et cetera. On your fleets of town trucks, anything from a pickup up to a dump truck to a municipal vehicle, it can be the same model. Not everything is 100% repowerable, but most are. What you don't want to do is just do a one-up of a vehicle. So, for example, if you had one class 4 dump truck, I'm making this up, and you only have one, the cost for the first is always the most expensive. It's the engineering curve. But if you have multiples of the same vehicles, those become candidates. School buses, I guarantee your school buses, other than the small ones, they're all probably the same make and model, other different year. So we try to look at it as to what's the most amenable to a repowering. But in the event your township says, okay, we have this fixed specialty vehicles, they're not repowerable. If you want to do new, you do new. The infrastructure doesn't care what you plug it into. You plug it into what's needed, power that goes somewhere.
Yeah, we should focus more on the infrastructure for this call.
Okay, so now that we've discussed all the components, your group comes back and says, Roger, over the next, 5 years, you give me the number, Pete, but
that's fine.
5 is a starting point. We anticipate to put 20 school buses out, 20 fleet vehicles and 40 cars. I'm making up numbers. You can put any number you want.
One of the
Because-
things in Bethel, we don't have our own school buses. They're all contracted school buses.
Do
Well, you
we
can go,
own,
you can go to that contractor.
it's First Student
Oh, it's First Student, biggest bus company in the country.
World.
Yeah.
You can, if you want, mandate under your contract that they go electric, and we can work with them. We do that. Or we can just have a collaborative effort. They are going electric in some places in the country.
Yeah.
But the reason they don't like to, Bill, is very simple. If you're paying them X cents per mile per student for a diesel bus, you're not going to pay them, instead of 5 cents, 30 cents per mile per student. But if you show them an economic model where you provide the charge infrastructure and they provide the vehicle, and you work a relationship on a financeable retrofit, which we can do for you as well, you can find a middle ground, because they will save money on oil, brakes,
Yeah.
transmission fluid,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. It's huge. The coefficient is huge, Bill.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd likely think initially of a couple of depot settings, Public Works, maybe the firehouses, and police station and the schools. And then some public charging.
Are
So you
you going to want to offer light duty public charging, Pete?
Yeah.
Because your utility will subsidize that
Okay.
on Make Ready. I don't know about the commercial. My suggestion would be, if somebody has the capability of giving me an Excel spreadsheet with all the vehicles that lie or work within the geographic boundaries of your municipalities,
As soon as we start the fleet study.
we can review it, put a check mark next to very doable, not doable. Then I can come back to you, Bill, with a conceptual proposal. It won't be a final proposal of what it might look like and feel like to work through a program where we do the core infrastructure for the full build out, but you only put charges in for the next 1 to 2 years. And then as you expand the program, Pete, we bolt it on. What you don't want to do is go back every 2 years and start all over with new transformers and new infrastructure.
Right.
You want to design that with a little forward thinking, Bill. Maybe 5 years, 7 years. Like when I did Logan Bus, we put in 5 level 2s and a level 3. I could double that with the infrastructure that's there already.
Yeah.
Just by putting new charges in. But we will offer you a turnkey solution, including vehicle upfits being financed, et cetera, all your infrastructure, or a combination thereof based on your budgets and your bondability, et cetera, that make it work for you.
So
Yeah.
Amply will finance repowers of some of the heavy duties in return for the infrastructure part.
It can't be 1 or 2, Pete. It's got to have some meat on it. The
Yeah,
finance companies are not interested. But I'll be
Oh, yeah,
honest
yeah.
with you. If you go to your own fleet finance companies that you go to, they'll finance it for you also. It's
Okay.
cheaper. Again, I don't want to make money on money. That's not our
No,
business
no.
model. Now, the last thing, Bill, you'll understand this one very well. Does Connecticut offer low carbon tax credits?
Not right now. It's discussions under the legislature, though.
In New York too. The Amplis system will do all the calculations and all the algorithms and metrics to count, calculate, and recover. We don't charge more for that. We come up with a sharing arrangement. We do the work, we split whatever we can get back for you. It's really effective. And in California, where we have the best LCTC program, it's a big winner. We're doing a system, and you mentioned this earlier, but I mentioned Anaheim. We're doing a massive it's solar canopy, battery storage, charge infrastructure for up to 100 transit buses. We're starting with over 40 of them. It's turnkey grid, solar, and battery with tax credit recapture. Their own estimate over the first decade is we'll save them in energy almost $10 million.
Mhm.
It's pretty impressive.
No, that's the objective. In fact, the solars that we've done, just doing now on the schools, the 3 solar projects. We financed that through a tax exempt lease purchase agreement, so we have ownership of it. We don't have to get, a PPA provider's permission or whatever to do anything with it.
I also, as I mentioned, in all my disciplines, we have our solar integration group in EPC who will integrate with us. So let's say, like you mentioned, the field, the sport fields or whatever it is, doing a canopy system not only provides shelter, solar, a system for integration of the charge systems or battery systems, et cetera, et cetera. When we come back with our recommendations to you, I can offer you anything you need in all of them. So, but I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. I get the flavor of what you want to do.
Yeah.
You're a good solar candidate. You got the right maps where you are. You got good angle, and your electricity is not that cheap, so you'll do well.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm on Long Island. We beat you. We're a lot.
Yeah, I know it. I know.
Oh boy. Again, this is the one you win, but you lose.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps you all understand a little of the flavor of where this is all going. And Kathy, I love your cat. He's looking at me, and the cat's getting away from the dog. I see that. But I'm here. Pete knows me very well. We talk all the time. I'm doing this as a favor and a pleasure because I really love what I do. And if we think we can help you, we'll come back with something that can help you. And if I don't think I can help you, I'll tell you how you can get the help you need.
Right. Well, that's a very strong interest by the administration is to move forward on this kind of stuff. So that's, Peter's study, is going to be the basis for putting all this together.
Well, you were the right guy. He doesn't have blood in his veins. He's got ions in his veins.
All right,
Well,
and
I'm available to you anytime.
I shared your presentation with the with
my
everyone.
pleasure. If you guys need anything, let me know. I'll let you go back to your meeting. I'll sign off so I don't hear all the dirt about what's going on in politics in Connecticut.
Okay.
Have a good night, all.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Bye, Kat. Pete, thank you, brother.
All right, cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Now
but
you
yeah,
have something to talk about at work tomorrow.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, Matt's going to check on
Yeah.
Getting the study going and this kind of a thing, and
Okay.
and seeing how we can move forward on that.
Yep.
All righty. Anybody have any questions or want to discuss? Steve?
No, I missed the last couple meetings, so I don't know much about the plan for the fleet study, but I'm assuming if there was no conflict that we could start doing it fairly soon. Is that accurate? Sometime over the summer, maybe?
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
Yeah. But this is, things you got to work out in the municipal sector. You can't just go forward and do it.
Right.
Okay. And then moving on, back up to Amoresco, the project's going good. Matt's on board with what we discussed last meeting about terminating the annual review for Amoresco and hiring Peregrine. I just got to pull out the contract and see if there's any issues or, special things on terminating this one piece of that contract. But that won't affect the solar or anything. And my understanding is that Amoresco pretty much looks at this annual thing as sort of a nuisance anyway. So that he's on board with. He's been awful tied up, hard to get a hold of because of creating, the fire district and that kind of a thing, the fire commission, and ultimately moving to an independent fire district type of setup in Bethel, like Ridgefield has and Reading has, that kind of a thing. So that's about Amoresco. And the sustainability commission proposal, he said he can start focusing on that now too, once, getting over the fire department thing. But he's on board with what we're suggesting. I did talk to Green Bank. Main purpose talking to Green Bank was to talk about developing a program for the ground source heat pumps that Sunny is looking into, and talk to them about how we did the solar project, promoted that several years ago for residential, and so they're going to get back to me. They said they'd have the appropriate person call me tomorrow to talk about heat pumps, not only for residential, but for commercial and potential financing, for those kinds of projects. Because when we look at sustainability, we look at where everything is going, and the state's agenda and everything is to, get carbon neutral. The number one heating source, energy source in Bethel is heating oil, which is, twice as much carbon as natural gas, and we can't put natural gas pipes every place because of all the ledge. It's, that's why we don't have much around. So, they're very interested in this as an initiative. It might be the first in the state, if we can make it happen. So they were very, very pleased with, what we're doing in terms of the solar, the electric vehicle, and looking at, at heat pumps. So we should get some interesting feedback from them on that. And hopefully we can create a program going for the heat pumps to put heat pumps and replace boiler fuel and this type of thing. So that was basically, the agenda and what we've got. Do anybody have anything else they would like to bring up, or?
Nope.
Okay, well, with that then, you met Peter, you might want to reach out to Matt too and say, I gave him a copy of your last proposal,
Sure.
and, with the fire district and that type of a thing, and
Yep.
say, what can we do to work this out, type of a thing.
Okay.
And I think that would be good. And then I will follow up with him too.
Okay. I haven't joined the fire commission, so I can easily resign from it.
Well, you've been appointed to it.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
Yeah, so you're there.
meaning I haven't started yet. So,
Well, you hadn't had the first meeting, but you've been appointed to the fire
did
commission.
not know that.
That's what he
Thanks for
told me
telling
today.
me. Okay. Awesome. All
He
right.
said, yeah, he was involved in the fire department of New York City.
No, I'll tell you real quickly what seemed to have fascinated the interviewers was the idea that when you buy a fire truck, the date you're going to dispose of it and how much you're going to dispose of it for. And fire trucks have, secondary and tertiary lives. So why don't we get on, the beginning this time? And it was like, you can do that?
Well, today he told me you were appointed
Awesome.
to the commission.
All
righty. If nobody has anything else, we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I thank you very much. And it was a
All
very
right.
interesting presentation that he
Yeah,
gave us.
Yep. It's a
Looking
long
forward.
one.
Yeah. But
Okay.
that's kind of, he's got the ideas of what we need, and
Yep.
the ability, the expertise to carry it on.
Another RFP coming.
Yeah.
So,
All righty. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
cheers.
Roy,
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
have a
everybody.
good one.
Night.
Bye-bye. Bye, Kath.